Somebody else shouts out another letter. I turn around. I'm writing the letter on the board to help us complete this puzzle. And I hear a splash of water and somebody say, oh! And I turn around and of course Myrtle has tossed some water in Greta's face and said, story mother freaking time. So some time ago, I was not a CNA, I was not an RN, I was a high school student volunteering in an assisted living. Sheesh. Now here's the thing, the main reason why I was doing that was because I was trying to increase my chances of getting into a nursing program, and I just kept telling myself the more extracurricular activities that I got, the more I do, the more I stretch myself thin, the beefier my resume will be, the more I will stand out up against these other candidates to get into a nursing program, all right? So that was my driving force behind volunteering at this assisted living, all right? Fast forward, I was maybe about 15, 16, 17, one of those ages, and I was in charge of the games. Okay, yes, there was a whole heap of bingo involved, all right? There was some hangman, maybe some crosswording going on, yeah, I don't know, we were playing games. We were playing games. Sometimes everybody broke off into groups and they played cards. So that particular day, all right, I was up at the front of the game room. I had rounded up everybody that had opted in to play games, and I think I was doing some sort of wordplay game. Let's just call it hangman. And towards the front of the room, there was this group of women. And let's say of the group of women, there was a ringleader. Y'all know what I'm talking about, because this situation will highly resemble a high school clique in every fashion. Let's say that the ringleader's name was Myrtle, okay? Because they're all in their 80s or 70s. Myrtle is completely appropriate. Don't fight me. Myrtle was talking about somebody else. We'll name that other resident Greta. Also highly appropriate for an 80, 70-something year old, okay? Myrtle was salty because she felt like Greta was pushing up on her boyfriend of 2 weeks. You know what Myrtle was saying? Myrtle was saying,
I feel like Greta only became interested in becoming my honey's friend when she saw that I became his girlfriend.
And everybody in the group was like,
you know what? I didn't even notice that. He might be on to something. He might be right. So what are you gonna do, Myrtle? What are you gonna do?
So I hear the two of them, and after a certain point, I stopped paying them any attention. I stopped hearing all that they're saying because I'm in the process of leading a group of people in what very quickly became a heated game of hangman. As far as my memory is allowing me to go, I think it was hangman. Fast forward, Greta ends up joining the group late. I don't know what Greta was doing. It wasn't my responsibility to know what Greta was doing. I wasn't one of the medical personnel. Jesus. Well, now it's out. So I was just there to play games. I said, welcome, Greta. Come and have a seat, Greta. You know what Myrtle said?
Nice of you to join us, Greta. Where's my honey, Greta?
So that little group that Myrtle is hanging out around, they're instigating, they're hyping things up. Somebody in the group was like,
she might have been with your man, Myrtle. You don't know. You might have to go over there and talk to Greta.
So Greta's sitting somewhere over in another corner at another table, chatting it up with somebody else, brainstorming with somebody else to help their team win this game of hangman, okay? I had split the classroom in half. The left side was team A, the right side was team B. So somebody else shouted out a letter. And so I turn around, and as I'm turning around, I see that Myrtle is getting up out of her seat. Now, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but it takes them a minute to really get up and get going. You know, Myrtle needed to grab her walker. Myrtle needed to get her balance. Okay? Why did, when I turned back around, Myrtle was halfway across the room on her way over to Greta? So I'm like, Myrtle, what are you doing? We're in the middle of a game, honey. Can we wait until maybe afterwards to address whatever issues you might have?
Oh no, honey, don't you worry about this. Don't worry, don't get into grown folk business.
Y'all. I said, okay, Miss Myrtle, please just have a seat somewhere, be careful. Even though I wasn't a medical professional personnel at the time, I still knew that these elderly individuals were still at a high risk for falling. So I said, please, just pick a seat and have a seat. Somebody else shouts out another letter. I turn around, I'm writing the letter on the board to help us complete this puzzle, and I hear a splash of water and somebody say, oh! And I turn around, and of course Myrtle has tossed some water in Greta's face and said,
that's for my man.
I said, what in God's name is going on here? So I flag down the CNA to come over. Somebody else is coming in from the other side, and they're like,
what's going on in here? Myrtle, why are you always in a dramatic situation?
Myrtle was known for the drama. Next thing you know, these two ladies are in a scrap. Now, please understand, it doesn't take much for us to peel them apart, okay? It wasn't that drastic, but a scrap indeed begin. But wait. Whew. Y'all, after Greta and Myrtle were pulled apart, Greta had something very, very special to say. She said to Myrtle,
I think that you're just mad because I'm juicier than you. You're all dried up.
And so Myrtle gasped with her hand on her chest and swore she was having a heart attack. So then Greta says, no, everybody knew she wouldn't have no heart attack. Greta says,
don't worry, honey, he's not with me for the personality. He's coming back to you because you got that. We can just work together.
And she's saying this as she's drying the water off of her face that Myrtle just sprayed on her. I said, Lord have mercy. Not me standing there with the marker in my hand with everybody else in the room staring at this commotion. The CNA takes Myrtle to another area and Greta off to some other area. And then maybe like 5 minutes later, as we're wrapping up the game, this tall elder gentleman, very chocolatey, you can look at an older man and just tell, you know what, you were definitely a looker back in your day because you're holding it together for your 80s. And I hear one of Myrtle's little groupies over here in the corner say,
there he is. There's that guy. We gotta figure out what he and Greta were doing. We gotta figure it out for Miss Myrtle.
I said the drama don't end. Sheesh. That tall gentleman, who we can call Charles, ends up coming to sit up at the front of the room and says directly to me,
you're new here. It's good to see you. It'll be nice seeing a new pretty face around here.
I said, no, Greta's not the problem. You're the problem. Man, I tell you, the drama never ends. The drama never ends. It never ends. You just never get away from it with some of these gentlemen, okay? Anyways, Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for tuning in to my story. I do have a bank of stories from you lovely people who have been sharing your stories with me. A number of you have asked to remain anonymous, and you will remain anonymous. Please click the link in the caption to become a member of my channel. In tier 1, or I guess the first level, I will be vlogging with my sister. We'll be posting workouts and, you know, a day with us doing super cool fun activities out and about. And then tier 2 will be that in addition to exclusive stories from my grandmother and early access to my story times. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and become a member and take a look at my literary masterpieces. Zyla on Kindle Vella, Confident Sensuality on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and Love Never Fails, which is a book of poetry. Check out my guy Blake Quake Beats, the editor, the mastermind behind the graphics. Thank you for joining.
I buried your mother. Yeah. What the f is you saying, y'all? Go sit down, Susan. See if I sit down. But don't sit down. Just don't come back over there. Okay. You right. Can you do that for me? I ain't had one in a long time. Right. I ain't had been ever in a long time. Come on, Susan. Leave me alone, would you? Stop acting simple. No. I said I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Give me my Give you what? 2 cigarettes. These are my cigarettes. And they mine too. You want my cigarettes? Yeah. And then you'll go. Yeah. Well, you'll be here for a long time. You want that thing? Stop. Want that thing? Stop. You need it? Stop. Come on, man. Fuck it. Man, leave me alone, Susie. I mean, stop with me. I ain't messing with you now. I'm not messing with you, see. I will. Read it. I will.